This is the first few pages of the first chapter of the book by Harry Shaw, Confronting Demons. Prisoners are full of interesting people, fascinating creatures criminals are, especially when you've been down the block for a couple of months as I just have, with nothing but a flaky ceiling to chat to. Now I'm back on the wing, I'm looking forward to some company. Anyone will do. I whack my belongings onto the top bunk of my new pad with a cheerful "right" to my new cellmate, who has his nose buried in a book and doesn't so much as grunt. Maybe I'm wrong about all prisoners being interesting. One look at his gaunt ashen face and I can tell this one's only got one subject to yak about. The doors clanked shut and the screw's footsteps reside along the corridor, his boots echoing and the keys jangling like a one-man band. I climb on my bunk and resume staring at the cracks in the ceiling, as if I hadn't left off from staring at the cracks in the ceiling in my last cell down the block. These being the days before cons had TVs and mini bed and breakfast style kettles in every cell. No metal detectors in those days either. Gradually I notice an unpleasant stink wafting up from the bunk below. After 20 minutes I realise the fellow underneath hasn't turned a single page of his book. I lean over the side to check he's still with us. Two glassy eyes stare at me. "Got any gear?" he whispers, feebly lifting his head. "Nah mate," I say, and he slumps listlessly back onto his pillow. "But I'm waiting on a visit." It's a rule of mine to always sort out the cellmate if I can for a bit of peace and quiet. "How long are you in for?" he asks, struggling onto one elbow, his face miraculously gaining signs of vitality. "7, mate." He looks at me with respect. I don't tell him I'm in principally for money laundering because a bit of respect is always a bonus when you're banged up with a skaghead. "You?" 6 months, he says with a scowl settling on his mug. "For a fight I didn't even start. Got my fucking head kicked in and all. Shouldn't even be in here. What's your name?" "Harry," I tell him. "Harry with an H." He frowns blankly. "Harry with an H. I'm Craig. All I ever did was a bit of light shoplifting," he continues bitterly. "Bit of till nicking and that. Nothing worth getting banged up for. Fucking knobhead magistrates." I've stopped listening, my mind's on other things. Will she be on time? Has she been able to get hold of a dealer? Will she make it past the screws without being searched? Eventually gates start clanging and screws stride up and down the landings, opening cells and yelling out names for visits. Twice one of them marches up to my cell with a suspenseful jangle of keys and I almost lurch off my bed with anticipation, only to hear boots clamp past to open another door instead. It's getting late. My cellmate is taken to reassuring me every half a minute or so not to worry and that my girlfriend is sure to turn up until I'm an anxious wreck. "Visit for sure," a screw shouts at last. I hurl myself off the bed and wait for the door to be opened. After a great deal of trudging along corridors and joining with other prisoners, while gates bash against walls then clang shut behind us, we finally get to have something that's taken totally for granted in the outside world. A chance to see someone we actually want to see. She's looking rough, is Dawn. Used to be a gorgeous girl with a curvy arse and fragrant blonde hair. Now she's all pale skin and skinny limbs. "No problems then," I grin, grasping her by the arm and pulling her towards me. For a long moment our tongues collide and I notice she's wincing and her eyes clench shut as if I'm the last fellow on earth she wants to be snogging. I'm starting to wonder what she's playing at, until at last a hard package is pushed into my mouth. I sift it to my cheek and glare at her suspiciously. "You been seeing someone?" She shakes her head quickly. I squeeze her arm harder and she lets out a yelp. Roughly I pull up her sleeve and reveal a row of purplish bruises. "That hurts, Harry," she groans, yanking her arm away. "I warned you not to inject," I say, sitting down and making her sit too. "You promised me you'd lay off the fucking needle." "Yeah, I'm going back smoking it. It's only 'cause it works out cheaper banging it up," she mutters. "Don't matter though, I'm going grafting this afternoon with Steve. I miss you, babe," she says, hurriedly changing the subject. Now that I'm not around, she's been doing checkbook fraud with her brother to feed her habit. Doesn't bother with hairdressing no more. She looks at me with a brave smile. My anger abates and just as quickly turns to pity. I cup my hand to her cheek. She nestles against it as she's always used to. It's the softest thing I've touched in months.